Hello, sports fans. This is Steven here for JustMyPicks.com, and I'll bring you a special NFL breakdown. I'm going to be going division by division, breaking down each and every NFL division and the division winners and the division losers. I'm going to start in the AFC North. The AFC North, as we know, had the eventual Super Bowl champion with the Baltimore Ravens. It's a lot of shakeup that's been happening in this division, all over, good and bad. I'm going to get to it. Starting at number 4, the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns, for some time, have been an NFL franchise that's been longly in the dumps since they've come back to the NFL. They've made a lot of changes, made a lot of improvements. I don't like their current team as is. Brandon Weeden, even though he may be a solid quarterback, I don't see him as the answer for the Cleveland Browns. Trent Richardson is a good back, but he has to stay healthy. A lot of the things that he does, he's a power back. And with the new rules with the NFL, with running backs not being able to use their crown of their helmets, it takes a lot out of Trent Richardson's game. I know he talked about he'll be fined and things like this, but you know, the Cleveland Browns are a mystery on offense because they do have solid starters. They do have solid wideouts, but their wideouts don't come up when it's time to play big time plays. And we saw that last year when Brandon Weeden put them in obvious situations to win the game or come back to win games. They had a lot of drop passes. They had a lot of mistakes that they made. Moving forward, make me a believer. Having Paul Kruger on your team may be a positive thing, getting him from the champion Baltimore Ravens, but I don't think one player is going to help that defense any better. I know you have Hayden on defense and you got Quell on defense, but to me, this team needs a lot more. Changing head coaches, to me, was a dumb thing, you know, because I liked where Sherman was going. I don't have faith in the coach they have now. So moving forward, I just feel like the ownership situation, with it being questioned by the authorities in the league, it's in limbo. It's a real mess. So I'm picking them to finish 4th, pretty much. I don't have faith in what they're doing, but I feel like in a couple of years they could be on the rise. Coming in at number 3, the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers, to me, they're old. And having Ryan Clark, Troy Polamalu, you know, Casey Hampton, a lot of those guys that they normally hold their hats on defense, it's only hurting them because they did get Jarvis Jones in the NFL draft, but they need to get younger all across the board. And you need to develop talent at the same time. Lamar Woodley, they have fractions in their locker room where people call him fat, lazy, out of shape. It's just one big ball of turmoil in Pittsburgh. And to me, no team is going to the playoffs and making a real Super Bowl run if their team is not united. Big Ben, he can't stay healthy. Losing Mike Wallace was stupid to me because Mike Wallace was the go-to receiver. He was one of the big play threats that made the Pittsburgh Steelers highlight reel time and time again. When Big Ben would scramble for 5, 6, 7 seconds and extend the play, all he had to do was launch the ball deep, and Mike Wallace went and got the ball. And losing him, I know Mike Tomlin talks about next man up and step your game up, and we're not worried about losing players, but you can't lose a Pro Bowl talent like Mike Wallace and not take a step back. To me, I would like to see them at least go after him this offseason, but the Miami Dolphins and Vikings had their sweepstakes and the Miami Dolphins eventually winning it, but they still scare me because they did not improve their team a lot. They did not make their team better in a lot of ways, so they did make the playoffs last year, and I think that they'll take another step back and not make the playoffs this year and put Mike Tomlin in the hot seat. I feel like Big Ben has to step his game up and play healthy. Without them having a top-tier running back, losing Rashard Mendenhall last year also hurt them. I just feel like right now the Steelers need to rebuild. They need to regroup, refocus, bring that team together, bring on solid young talent, draft a little bit better. I know the offensive line has got a little bit better, but overall, I'm looking for the Pittsburgh Steelers to finish 3rd in this division. I just don't have faith in them anymore. And they used to be a team that was on the rise, a team that, even though they were a little older, they still bounced back, but I don't see it anymore. I don't see them being the big bullies in the division anymore, and I think that a lot of teams are going to overstep them in a lot of games this season because it's just their age. Father Time wins all battles. So, coming in at number 2, I see the Cincinnati Bengals. The Cincinnati Bengals have a lot of talent with A.J.Green, Gresham, Andy Dalton. Marvin Lewis has done a wonderful job keeping this young core intact and also bringing back key pieces. pieces like Carlos Dunlap. You got Geno Atkins in the middle. You have a lot of solid pieces, even Ray Malaluga. You have a lot of pieces that are on this team that potentially could take off next season. But the only thing with me is their experience. They don't have that playoff experience to where they can say, we did this well in the playoffs. We did that well. We did this, because we've seen them make it to the playoffs and also gets bounced like a bad habit. So I want to see Marvin Lewis. Can you step your game up, and can your coaching staff step your game up and get guys like A.J. Green to the next level, and Andy Dalton, who has been a terrific player throughout his NFL career, who is taking a couple bumps on his head, but he's also growing as a young quarterback. He is one of the top quarterbacks under 30, so I look to see him bounce back and make a lot of good moves this offseason. They have really prepared, and they've really gotten themselves in a position where they can also do some things in free agency and possibly bring in guys. But I want to see their defense grow. I want to see their offense grow. Also, Marvin Lewis is as a candidate for Coach of the Year. He's done a solid job in Cincinnati from Carson Palmer and Chad Johnson to even now. He's held his job. He's fought off people that wanted him fired, and he's also shown that he can develop young talent on his football team. I look forward to them having a solid football season next year. But coming in at number 1, the Baltimore Ravens. A lot of people talk about the Baltimore Ravens losing all those pieces on defense. Yes, you will never replace Ray Lewis in spirit, but Ray Lewis was falling off as far as talent goes. Yes, he was the emotional leader. Yes, he was a lot of things. But we saw last year in the playoffs, Joe Flacco step up, and this team turned from a defensive guru team into an offensive guru team. Yes, they lost Anquan Bolden, but you still have Smith on the outside. You still have Ray Rice. You still have weapons. You still have Jacoby Jones out there. So you have weapons on offense that you still pertain. They did a good job in addressing their needs, getting the safety out of Florida to try to speed up the acceleration of losing Ed Reed to the Houston Texans. But I'm looking at this Ravens team on paper and saying, hey, last year they weren't the defensive juggernaut. They played without Ray Lewis for a couple of games. I know they lost Paul Kruger. They lost a lot of guys, but they did pick up Elvis Dumervil in the offseason from the Denver Broncos. You still have Terrell Suggs. You still have key pieces on that defense that can get, like Haloti Ngata, who can create pressure. You now have a fearsome threesome on that defensive line with Haloti Ngata, Dumervil, and Terrell Suggs. You can create, they have Webb coming back at cornerback. You still have solid leaders on this defense. I'm not scared for the Baltimore Ravens. I think that with the Browns being soft and the Steelers not coming back and retooling like they should, they are going to be able to get a couple of easy division wins over these guys. The Bengals are their toughest competition in this division, but I'm looking for Joe Flacco and Harbaugh to really ball out, because I feel like they have a Warriors mentality. Having been on a team with Ray Lewis, Joe Flacco knows what it takes to be a leader. He's taking criticism. He's been Joe Cool for a reason. So Ray Rice will continue to run the ball like a beast that he is. He will continue to create opportunities, and they have a chance to potentially defend their Super Bowl title. I know a lot of people don't believe it, but they won that game last year by exploding on offense and special teams. So I'm looking forward to this NFL season with this AFC North division. You can check me out at justmypicks.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at justmypicks.tv. Also, check out this video and all my other videos on YouTube /justmypicks.tv. Thank you very much for subscribing, and please comment on my videos.